Do you ever stare at your schedule, wondering where to squeeze in your writing practice, or beat yourself up for letting another day slip by without picking up your pen? I feel your pain. I'm Deborah Froese, and this is Write, Writer, Write. Today, let's look at how to move past 5 common barriers to a satisfying practice. Most of us start with good intentions. We tell ourselves, this week I'll write every day, or maybe even more commonly, I'll start tomorrow. But then life happens. Our schedules fill, energy fades, and that bright spark of motivation dims under everything else we're trying to manage. There never seems to be quite enough time to build the rhythm we need. This is certainly my experience. I have several friends who manage to write regularly, so what's wrong with me? I've got reasons, of course. My brain is exhausted from editing other people's work, or I'm not sure what comes next, or the biggest one, I feel guilty doing something that's fun before I complete my tasks for the day, and there just isn't enough time to do it all. I'm the first to admit that these are not really reasons, but excuses. Do any of them sound familiar? If a writing practice is important to us, we have to ask, what's really standing in the way? Let's look at 5 common barriers to building a steady writing practice and how we can move through each with more compassion and confidence. Number 1, time and energy depletion. We can't build a creative rhythm when we're running on fumes. Between work, family, and everything else that needs our attention, writing easily slides to the bottom of the list. We feel guilty for wanting that time. We'll never find the time, so we have to make the time. Create a slot in your schedule that belongs only to you and protect it. Even 10 minutes counts. You don't need a writing room or perfect quiet. Just permit yourself to show up as you are, however briefly, with intention. Eventually, that time will become a habit. Even if you don't write more than a sentence or two, the joy gained from these small moments builds energy to accomplish our other tasks. And before you know it, you may find yourself giving up doom scrolling or a Netflix episode to expand your practice. Number 2, all or nothing thinking. If you're like me, a shorter writing period prompts your inner critic. It says, "That's not enough time for real writing. You won't even get started." And just like that, it shuts me down. Does that ever happen to you? Discouraging, isn't it? All or nothing thinking convinces us that writing only matters if we can do it in big, uninterrupted blocks. And I get it. Larger windows give us time to explore, to savor whatever world we're creating. But realistically, how many of us have time for extended writing periods on a regular basis? If you don't have that kind of time, don't let it stop you from building momentum, minute by minute. Try this little exercise. Set a timer and write for 10 minutes. When the timer goes, stop and walk away, even if you're mid-sentence, doesn't matter. Don't worry about productivity, just let the time stir your curiosity. When you walk away, your thoughts will continue germinating, and they'll pull you back to the page later for your next round. You just might find that time expands because it's so rewarding, and you'll find ways to make it longer. Number 3, perfectionism. Perfectionism is really a form of protection and a sign of fear. Writing exposes our thoughts and emotions, and the subconscious mind reacts as if that's a threat. The inner critic announces, "You're not good enough. No one will ever read this anyway. Who do you think you are?" It's trying to protect us from disappointment or rejection, but in doing so, it blocks the self-exploration and creativity we need to thrive, not just in writing, but in life. Even though I have decades of publication experience under my belt, these kinds of thoughts will still needle me once in a while. This podcast is a good example. Although it's not a direct form of writing, it has similarities. It's about my views, it's about what I've learned and who I am. And it's very visible. It took me a while to get comfortable with the idea of putting it out there. I moved past that fear by just doing it anyway. Remember, perceived threats don't really come from others. They come from self-judgment. So be gentle with yourself. Retrain your nervous system to associate writing with curiosity rather than threat. You can meditate or do some breathing exercises to calm and center yourself before you begin. There's nothing at stake. You don't have to share it until you're ready. It's just you and the page. Here's another little trick. Your brain can't tell the difference between internal conflict and external threats. So write something badly on purpose. Prove to your brain that nothing bad will happen if you don't write it well. Over time and with repetition, a sense of safety replaces jolts of anxiety. Showing up to write becomes an act of curiosity and self-expression rather than something to fear and avoid. And remember, there is no such thing as perfection. Number 4, unrealistic expectations. Perfectionism is one form of unrealistic expectation, but I want to look at another, productivity. We tend to measure productivity by word counts and completed pages or projects, when what really matters is consistency. Writing is an act of discovery. It's not recipe following. If you only have so much time to write in a day, the number of words or pages you produce is naturally going to vary. The expectation to finish a draft by a projected date isn't quite the same thing as getting dinner on the table by 6. Consistency is what matters. When we keep showing up at a pace that works with our lives and expect word count to ebb and flow as we go, we manage expectations instead of being ruled by them. High or rigid expectations lead to burnout and loss of motivation. I've been there and I know. So be realistic. Ask yourself what's sustainable for your practice. Maybe that's 3 short sessions a week or writing during your morning coffee break. Let's focus on commitment, not just the distance to the finish line, because progress doesn't come from pressure. It comes from consistency. Number 5, lack of purpose or connection. We've all experienced writer's block. It's usually related to something deeper, a loss of connection. If we lose interest in a project or aren't sure what comes next, it's easy to let our minds drift or even walk away from what we're doing. That's a practice killer. If you feel like quitting, pause and ask, why am I doing this? Really think about that question. Go deep. Your why is the most powerful momentum builder you have. It gives you a sense of purpose, and purpose is the greatest driving force there is. When you know why you're writing, you naturally show up with more energy and focus. You have a mission to accomplish. Without that connection, even the best goals and routines lose their spark. So take time to connect with your why. Is your writing your way to process the world? To remember who you are? To inspire others through story or revelation? Rediscover your why and get excited about your project again. Each of these 5 blocks, time and energy depletion, all or nothing thinking, perfectionism, unrealistic expectations, and lack of purpose or connection, each of them is a familiar hill in the creative landscape. So let's remember that and approach these hills with curiosity instead of self-judgment or fear. Then we can build a foundation of a sustainable writing practice, one that really lasts. Do any of these 5 blocks feel present for you right now? Instead of trying to fix it right away, scribble down a few thoughts about the underlying conditions or emotional patterns and triggers behind them. Maybe it's exhaustion, self-doubt, or fear of exposure, or something else altogether. It could be a sense of being rushed into decision-making about what comes next. Whatever comes up, remember, this is just part of being human. It's part of the creative process. It's information, not judgment. Understanding that and being gracious toward yourself are steps toward freedom. Your writing practice isn't just about producing words. It's about building a relationship with yourself, one page at a time. If you want to break down barriers and build momentum for your writing practice, check out the Manuscript Momentum Challenge on my Substack. The link is in the show notes. Thanks for listening to Write, Writer, Write. If today's episode helped you see your writing practice in a new light, I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep showing up, stay curious, and write, writer, write.